and behavior. You're welcome to post questions in the chat and we'll answer them in natural breaks throughout the presentation. This class, like most others, will be recorded and accessible on YouTube. Just type NKA Idaho in your search box. We're fortunate to have 3 presenters today and one with us in spirit. All serve on the board of directors of the Kessler Keener Foundation here in Boise. Antoinette Harney Kavanaugh is a member of the Shoshone Paiute tribes of the Duck Valley Indian Reservation on the Idaho-Nevada border. A lifelong educator with an MA from Boise State, she served as teacher, principal, and Elko County school superintendent. Among her many awards, Superintendent of the Year by the Nevada State School Board Association, and from the Nevada Department of Education, the Bisha Naminedu Award, which in the Paiute language means something that has been done well. In 2020, she provided leadership for her Duck Valley community during the pandemic as interim CEO. Currently, Antoinette serves on the board for the Wasma Center for Human Rights. Valerie Miller is a member of the Stockbridge Munsee Band of Mohican Indians. She has a degree in English and political science from the University of Wisconsin at Madison, and her teaching credentials in English and special education from Boise State. She's currently on a leave of absence after working in Idaho education for 17 years. Valerie and her husband Dana, a member of the Menominee tribe, have a son, daughter-in-law, daughter, and granddaughter. Valerie splits her time with her family here and caring for aging parents in Wisconsin. Stephanie Michelle Lokelani Cullen is a Kanaka Maoli Native Hawaiian storyteller and filmmaker. She has a bachelor's in digital cinematography from Full Sail University and is completing a graduate degree in communication with an emphasis on new media and marketing. She's provided video content for area organizations, including HP, Wasma Center, Learning Lab Idaho, and Idaho Nonprofit Center. Steph joined the current cohort for Leadership Boise and is on the board of directors for Ballet Idaho. And while a 4th Kessler Keener board member, Trina Findley Ponce, is away today, our panel wanted me to mention her as key to the Native Voices Project. Trina is a member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes. She is a diversity, equity, and inclusion professional, passionate about building bridges between people with different narratives and fostering workplace and community environments of belonging where people from all backgrounds can thrive. She has a baccalaureate from Stanford and MBA from University of Montana. Coming from a family with a proud history in the military, she served 16 years in the U.S. Army Reserve. Trina serves on the boards of the Wasma Center and the Salish Kootenai College Foundation. Please welcome Antoinette, Valerie, and Steph.
Thank you, Gypsy. Am I able to share my screen? It looks like host disabled participant screen sharing. So let me see if I can. Ask for permission.
Good morning, everyone. While Stephanie is working on her piece to try to get our presentation loaded onto your screen, can you hear me? First of all, I have to ask. Perfect. So I'd like to, before we begin today's event, with offering a land acknowledgement. So the Kessler, for everyone's information, the Kessler Keener Foundation is based out of the Boise Valley, also known as the Treasure Valley, which was the original and continues to be the Aboriginal territory of the Shoshone, the Paiute, and the Bannock tribes. I am Antoinette Kavanaugh, and I am a member of the Shoshone Paiute tribe, so it is my honor to offer that land acknowledgement, for this was and continues to be our homelands. With that, you are probably wondering why we have Native voices and who created it, what is it used for, and why is it important? So let me begin with the why. As a professional educator, along with Val, and I have to, my hat is off to Val Miller. She's quite a creative educator, and she has done a phenomenal job of creating the curriculum that goes with the Native Voices videos that Stephanie has created. So why Native Voices? It was developed to accurately provide accurate educational tools and resources aligned with the Idaho state standards to inspire interest in cross-cultural learning. Also, the educational content that is provided promotes a better understanding and a respect for Indigenous experiences, and it contributes to our society, the greater society, in a positive way. Also, it provides versatile educational resources for use in the classroom for online or hybrid settings. And this educational resource is designed to address the needs of diverse learners and the teachers who teach them. With that being said, it's important to keep in mind that teachers quite often are hard pressed for time. So in order to accommodate them, this Native Voices package was provided with all the resources necessary for teachers to begin their instructional process. This curriculum was developed by educational professionals who are Indigenous, and Indigenous educators quite often are not given the wherewithal, the time, the resources to develop information and materials that are useful by the greater public to represent Indigenous history. This information that has been developed has done a good job of collecting the research necessary that contributes to the foundation of material essential to meeting the state standards for fourth grade history. The videos are a great way to capture the stories of individuals who represent Indigenous people in Idaho. Finally, the program work was completed largely by Indigenous Kessler Keener Foundation board members who have academic degrees in education, business, and by people who have vetted professional experience. We hope that you'll enjoy today's event and find value in the resources that have been created. So with that, Steph, were you able to get the information up on the?
I posted our website in the chat for everyone, and you can check out all of our information there. And I'm still waiting to be made co-host so that I can share my screen.
Okay, the purpose for us wanting to share the screen is we have a PowerPoint presentation that will walk us through each of the pieces of the Native Voices and give you some additional and concrete, visual learners as well as auditory learners. So it's important for us to be able to provide you with the PowerPoint so that you can see the pictures of some of our individuals who have been videotaped for this event.
And it looks like I can share my screen now. So let me open it. I'm going to open on our website here first, but most importantly, we would like you to meet the students who speak for themselves. This is a trailer that we created for them. Oops, could you hear that sound? Probably not.
No.
Okay. Let me share again and do it properly. There we go.
My name is Sika and I'm Shoshone Paiute. I live in Duck Valley. I started gardening when I was 2 years old.
I am sitting on this horse because I am showing Native kids they could do anything they want, even if they put their mind to it.
Your family can inspire you while playing basketball, football, other sports.
Taekwondo, it's a self-defense, really only type of martial art. Builds up your confidence, gets your discipline up there too.
Try to at least spread awareness anywhere I can. Wear red or wear red handprints.
Right now, I'm just training to relay race, but I do the individual race, which is called the chief race, and is one time around on the track. And I do the mile race, which is a mile on a horse, bareback.
Hey, I'm a Native American. I'm still here and I'm in your class.
All right, so those are the 15 students that we went out and interviewed last year at various reservations across Idaho. And next on our list, we would like to introduce you to Aziri.
My name is Azeri. I am from the Shoshone Bannock tribe, and I live in Leaking Creek, Idaho. I graduated from Black High School, and I'm planning to go to Idaho State University, and then going to University of Utah to get my degree in building architects and interior design. I grew up riding all my grandpa's horses, and then recently, last year, I finally got my own horses. My parents got me some horses. I got 3 horses now. Right now, I'm just training to relay race, but I do the individual race, which is called the chief race, and is one time around on the track. And I do the mile race, which is a mile on a horse, bareback. I feel like if you're in this family, you kind of got to be in it. What I like about horse racing is the bond you get with your own horses, and just the feeling of riding a horse and going fast on a horse, and having your family all in one place, I guess. It's a family sport, so my family's been doing it for forever, and this is what I wear when I chief race. Kind of have to wear it, so yeah. My grandpa made this for me, so yeah. And then these are our team colors. Wait, hold on. This is my family's team colors, so the Teton side. And then I really like the color black, so I got my own jersey made for when I do my individual races. So it's the black colors and the turquoise for the Tetons. My great grandma Juanita Teton picked the turquoise colors, and it's been with us for generations.
Yeah, my grandfather was a jockey in the 30s and 40s, and I was told stories about him, and I saw one picture of him that he used to go to get on a train from Blackfoot all the way and ride the train to Pendleton, Oregon, just to race. And he's one of the well-known jockeys here in Fort Hall. And Fort Hall is the home of the Indian Relay. And also, when it comes to the Indian Relay, it's been in our tribe. This is the Fort Hall, the home of the Shoshone tribes. This is where it all originated from. It's our tradition. Like I said, it's potentially been here over 500 years.
What I'm most proud of is being able to carry on my family's tradition and being able to make my family proud, and hopefully one day I can pass it on to my kids if I ever do have kids. I enjoy Indian relay racing, and I enjoy snowmobiling. So the other things I like doing is skateboarding and snowboarding. I've been skateboarding since I was 12 years old and snowboarding since I was 10 years old. What I like about snowmobiling is the fun it brings me, and how I get to spend time with my family, because all my family does it, like my uncle, my dad, and all of his friends, family friends, and it's just fun. It's a fun thing to do, but also very dangerous. What I want other people to know is that we skateboard, snowboard, and do everyday activities like everybody else does.
That was our dear friend Aziri, and it was lots of fun to oops, pardon me. It was lots of fun to interview him and his parents. We are going to stop that for just a second. And next up, I think we're meeting Phil. Let me get my mouse back up here. Yes. We also have an Indigenous educator who works with us, and his name is Phil Allen. He's from the Nez Perce tribe, which is up in Lapwai, Idaho, and Nez Perce in his native tongue is Nimipu. Phil has been an educator at many different schools. I believe it is Washington State University, the college there in Lapwai, and University of Idaho as well. I'm sure that I'm missing some. Phil has a great history of teaching multiple things at multiple schools. I should have written his information down. I do apologize. So for Phil, we created a few videos. We are still in the process of creating these, but the one we'd like to share today is about tribes.
My name is Phil Allen. I'm from Lapwai, Idaho, and Nez Perce. And on this segment, we're going to talk about tribes. And what does that mean? Well, a tribe is a group of people recognized, and recognized mean like the federal government will recognize who we are as a group of people. And right now, there are approximately 574 federally recognized, and there's actually state recognized as well, but that's in the 300s. And then there are tribes that no longer exist or aren't recognized. So what does this mean? Well, a tribe by recognition, it gives tribal people a distinct political identity, a distinct racial identity, and we have a different relationship with the governments than the average citizen, U.S. citizen. So it's an important thing. And what I'm trying to do is trying to get people to understand that the tribes we have a different status than every other American in the country. And what I mean a different status is laws that pertain to us, depends on what state we live in, looking at geography, looking at numbers of people. There's a lot of stuff that goes into tribal recognition. It's an important aspect. And for myself as a Nez Perce, there's probably maybe 3,800 or so of us that are enrolled in the Nez Perce tribe, which is located up in Lapwai, Idaho. It's near Lewiston, Idaho, about 15, 20 minutes from there. Other tribes are much bigger. We have tribes that are in the 10,000s. We have a few tribes that are in the 100,000s. Speaking about tribes as a teacher or as an educator, just to recognize how much different we really are. Our languages are different. We might have similarities. The Yakima, the Nez Perce, the Umatilla, we have a language that's very similar, and it's what they call the plateau. You have the Shoshone, the Shoshone Paiute, the Shoshone Bannock, you have the Kootenays, you have all these different tribal groups and their different dialects. And so, what I want to do is point out the differences. Idaho, there's actually probably been more tribes, but right now within the state border, there's technically 5. And you have the different parts of the state. And it's important to understand geography. Geography is like the place where you live at, whether you live in the mountains or you live in the plains. And where I live, it's kind of different because we all have wheat fields, different landscape. The rivers are different, the trees are different. I mean, there's a lot of differences. And tribes attach themselves. There's a sense of place. And I know one thing I always ask people is like, where are you from? If I know you're from Idaho, then I know that you know some of the things I understand. And so that's the reason that we do that. As Native people, we do that like I'll ask somebody at a powwow or at a gathering or education conference, even with the geography. I mean, it's so attached. It's another way of understanding how the tribes are different. I'm a native from Idaho. This is where I come from. My origin stories, my creation story comes from where I live. And even things like food. I mean, sometimes you're known by the foods that your tribe eats a lot. And this is kind of understand. I'll say for ourselves, we eat cows. It's a root, an edible root that we use in different ways. And a lot of the other tribes would call us the cows eaters. So just to kind of give you an example in terms of the tribes, it makes me feel good when people ask me where you're from, and don't generalize just because I'm a native. I want to make sure that you recognize me as a Nez Perce.
All right, that was Phil. He is, like I said, he's an educator and he is excellent at what he does. He always has a lot to share. And right now on our website and our YouTube page, we have about 3 videos from him, and we're working on putting together a few more that were all shot last summer. And next we have another student. This is Paisley. And I have to say, we'll get to more information about the student aspect, but it was so much fun to meet all of these students and really get to know them and ask them what they love, what their favorite subject is in school, and what they want to be when they grow up.
I am from Oahe and I am a member of the Shoshone Paiute tribe. I'm 10 years old and I am in 4th grade. I like school because it's fun and I love learning about new stuff. My favorite subject is math and English. I am sitting on this horse because I am showing Native kids they could do anything they want even if they put their mind to it. I like to ride horse because it's fun and it makes me happy. And you can't do anything without your horse. I started riding horses when I was 4, and then I just came attached to it. My horse's name is Woman. She is 10 years old. She is just beautiful, and I love her so much. But sometimes she could be a little sassy. I rodeo, I do barrels, I do poles, I do everything except for one thing. I'm still learning how to do breakaway because sometimes I get nervous. In the future, I want to be a professional barrel racer and a rancher. We usually just practice around and just make our corrections if we do something wrong. And we just like to play around because it's really fun and you have a partner to work with. What I want the other people to know is that we work hard. Sometimes we get up before the sun comes up to go out and push the cattle, and sometimes we stay until dark. So you just have to work hard, and we do not get a free pass to not go out and not work the cattle.
That young lady, we could certainly learn from her. All right, we do have a question in the chat. Val and Antoinette, did we want to answer that now or get into the content for educators and then head back to that question?
Let's go back to that.
To the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Eleanor asks, what Idaho laws do not apply to Native Americans?
So technically, I am not a lawyer. First, I want to say that, but in my educational experience and in studying educational laws and what I know about Indigenous laws, having been a tribal administrator, all the laws of the state apply to Indigenous people unless they're on federal land. And then when they're on the tribal lands, those lands are governed by federal law. So Indigenous people, while they're on reservation lands, that land is considered held in reserve. It's a reservation. it falls under federal control and federal laws. So no reservation is without its laws, so to speak.
I would concur with Antoinette. I'm not a lawyer either, but I don't know of any Idaho laws that don't pertain, unless, of course, you are on tribal land, which then you are, the laws of the nation supersede you there. So, for instance, if there's a major crime on my reservation, minor crimes are investigated. We have a small police force, but major crimes are investigated by the FBI. So, yeah, I'm not aware of any either.
And I'll go ahead and answer the next question. The question is from Jackie Kelly. It says, I noticed that different people pronounce Shoshone differently. Is there a meaning to that? So not necessarily. Usually that's a dialect, but for the most part, Indigenous people, when they refer to themselves by the non-Indigenous name Shoshone, they say Shoshone. In our language, Shoshone people call ourselves Nua. It means the people of the land. So even though we are called Shoshone, we don't call, when we speak of ourselves to each other, we speak of ourselves as Nuinit, people of the land. I might say, I might give one other clarification. When you see the word Shoshone with an I in literature or language, the I is the Shoshone language. And then if it's with an E, it's the Shoshone people.
Oh, thank you, Antoinette. The other point I would make is that many of the tribal names that we know tribes by today are not what the tribes call themselves. So many tribes bear the English names of, quite frankly, their enemies. As the American settlers progressed west, they had scouts from other tribes, and it was like, oh, what do you call those folks over there? And then it would be whatever that name was. So that's also a fairly common way that tribes were named. So I'm from Wisconsin, and so we have the Ho-Chunk people, who you might know as the Winnebago. Winnebago is not what they call themselves. It's what their enemies called them. They call themselves the Ho-Chunk. So that just happens over and over. There are some tribes who have their own names, but many of them are known in English as another name. Hopefully that made sense.
Thank you, Val and Antoinette. And just really quickly to go back to Phil's slide here. He is from the Nez Perce tribe, which is how we know it. And then, as I had mentioned, their tribe calls it the Nimipu. So just to bring that even home further there. All right, now for Miss Valerie Miller.
Oh, all right. So I was really excited to be asked to join this project because it's so important to my heart. As I said, I've taught here in Idaho for 17 years. I work in a fairly conservative school district. But this is an important part of education, and often it's kind of skipped over. So when we put together a curriculum to match some of these videos and to share some of this information, we were very careful to go straight to the Idaho state standards. So this the curriculum in Idaho is determined by the state standards, which the legislature signs off on. And so we went straight to there to get the concepts that they want taught. Now, this generally starts in 4th grade for Native American history. And so that's where we started. The first set of lessons are done at about the 4th grade level, but honestly, you could adjust them up pretty easily anywhere 4th through 8th. And you would just probably adjust some of the reading and some of the other things that go with them. So these are all, again, aligned to the state standards, but there's one concept. We're going to play a little short video for you in a minute that Steph will bring up. And this kind of informs the teaching, the thinking of teachers and other adults who are getting ready to teach Native American history. You need to be a little bit aware of the concept of erasure. And this is a term historians, anthropologists, other social disciplines use. And it's simply, well, I'll have Ms. St. Cloud explain it. She's a professor, and I really appreciate her work. So again, this is for the adults in the background, people, folks like us, other teachers. This is not necessarily the part for the kids, but you need to be aware of this concept in order to teach Native history. You ready for us, Steph?
Yes, and I apologize, I forgot to bring this up and prep it before today's call. Val,
That's
you said
okay.
that's around 6 minutes?
6:40, I think.
Okay.
So Ms. St. Cloud is a professor, and the Dakota and Lakota peoples created a curriculum for the Minnesota state. So here's her work.
Let's get into full screen here. And here we go.
Part of my work comes from being a teacher and thinking about the ways that I see Dakota experience and Native people in general kind of absent from the consciousness of most Americans and certainly most Minnesotans. There is sort of a general understanding of Native people and Native experience, but Native people are generally positioned in a past, and the story is sort of a generic story of colonialism, that a long time ago Native people lived here and then they're gone, and it's unclear how they came to be gone, and now this is ours, and that's sort of a colonial narrative. Generally, I would say Minnesotans understand that there's some kind of tragic history, but there really isn't any access to sort of the specifics. And because of that limited understanding, and that's not, I'm really talking about the general public. It is easier to ignore, forget, minimize, or actually erase Dakota people and our experiences. So this curriculum is really developed to address that ongoing erasure.
Thank you, Steph.
In addition, I'm sure many of you recognize that there are
thank you. I appreciate that. So again, that's not something that we start off with students, but that part of the understanding is critical for educators who are going to teach this work. And erasure happens not just in history, it happens in many, it happens in families, it happens across the board. And generally when we have uncomfortable events, things that are difficult to talk about, you'll start seeing that process happen. So we do, there is information in our curriculum to kind of prep teachers to know how to talk about these things. From my personal experience as a mixed Native person who can pass for white, I have some terrible memories of hearing teachers talk about Natives in the classroom in really harmful ways. So you don't know just by looking at your students who's all out there. And that's another part of that. All right, can we move on? I think we were going to talk about a lesson.
Yes, I think so. Okay, so then let me go back to the website. I'll put that back up for you, Val.
Sure.
And which lesson would you like us to look at?
Let's just scroll down. You can see, if you see our website, there's misconceptions. Go back up a little.
Okay.
A bit. I just wanted to show folks. So we've got some of Phil's lessons centered here, which was a huge part of our Native Voices Part 1. We're going to be moving into Native Voices Part 2, and we hope to expand that to other tribal educators, sharing that expert information with us. All right, Ms. Steph, if you can scroll back down. Let's just open up lesson presentations for lesson 1.
This one right here. Oh, no. I see it.
Yeah. So as you can see, we have information for teachers there. We have response sheets for students, and then these slideshows that were created for the teachers to show their students. So this first one's on misconceptions and stereotypes, and you've already heard Mr. Allen talk about some of those things. So what we do here, and if you scroll down to maybe slide 3, we have students center themselves because that's how we create our understanding. Oh, I guess slide 2. We have them just write down something that people can determine about that student just by looking at them, right? So if I'm looking at Gypsy, I can see that Gypsy has glasses, and so I know her vision might not be good. I can just tell that by looking at Gypsy. Kids are pretty good already at this point of identifying things like that, just those kinds of things. So we move on. We have kids write that on sticky notes, put them up in the room, walk around, look at what you could know about other people. Sometimes we have to correct some thinking errors from that, things we think we know about people just by looking about them. But here's some examples. Some kids might be wearing a Minecraft t-shirt and you know that's what they love. Some kids talk about baseball and are wearing their baseball hat every day and you know they're a Yankees fan. So we have the students center themselves first about what we know about them by the way they present themselves, and then we move on to these other misconceptions and perceptions. You want to just click through? Yep, they go ahead. Yes, and so then we move to this topic. Do people ever think something about you from the way you look on the outside or what you're wearing, but they're wrong? And I think we've all had that experience of being misjudged, and kids can relate to that. So we start from there. Next. We explain these hard words like misconceptions and stereotypes, because those are pretty difficult concepts. Not necessarily for fourth graders to grasp because most of them have already experienced that in their little social lives, but to remember the words and the definitions. So we talk about that. Next. We have them talk to each other. So a lot of think, pair, shares in this curriculum. How do you feel when you hear someone stereotyping someone else? How should you treat people who are different than you? Next. How do people make assumptions? So the teacher's just ongoing then working through that conversation with the kiddos. Next. So learning targets. This is what the kids will learn when they're done. You can keep moving through that stuff. Vocabulary, and it moves on and on and on. We play Mr. Allen's lessons are embedded in most of these. Slide down to slide 12. So the student response sheet, which is this a live document? Can you click on that?
Yes. Oh,
there you go. So the teachers then can bring this up and probably they will have pre-printed it. And they fill out these answers. And I just think, I hope you enjoyed those short video clips of the students as much as I did, because literally I can't watch them and not smile or sometimes cry. And I think kids will get that. I think kids will get, oh, you know, I wasn't sure what Native Americans were. And oh, that girl looks like me and she loves horses just like I do. Or like good old Azeri, he loves to go fast on whether it be a snowmobile or a horse, just like I do. So anyway, I just think we've designed it for kids to make a lot of connections, connections to sameness more than necessarily differences. Anyway, that's kind of all I wanted to show you about what those basic curriculum pieces looked like. So we can go back to our original slideshow. Are there any questions? Throw them in the chat if you have any questions about that.
Thank you, Val.
Linda says the curriculum looks well designed and conceived. No, Linda, we have not had to defend it from critics yet, but we anticipate that we will. To be honest, this is Idaho, and this is a very divisive time, which is why, quite frankly, we stuck just as straight to those state standards as we could for our educational pieces. And so that's where we brought it from. And one of the reasons we need this kind of curriculum so very much, Phil Allen alluded to it earlier, is that there are some political differences. There are some differences in land rights. You know, the fact that tribes hold land together and then perhaps all hunt on them together. Kids need to be aware of that. Some of the questions earlier made me think of when I was in college. I had any number of kids ask me if it was true that natives went to college for free. I don't know any native who went to college for free. I know a lot of native students who worked their butts off and had scholarships and all that stuff. But my father always used to say, hey, I got a lot of money coming back from somebody if native kids go to college for free. So the reason we want kids to know about the difference in that basic political status, which is mostly having to do with holding of lands and other kinds of rights like that, is so they understand those things. And it's important for everybody. Most of those rights come from treaties and they're actual legal documents. So folks got that land oftentimes under duress, but these are the rights that people then retained. So, and one of the later curriculum pieces, there's a treaty attached that kids can read. And some of the treaties are actually pretty readable, shockingly, I think. They're not all so much lawyerese. Especially the Western treaties, a lot of them were written by Army officers. And they're quite still accessible once they're out of script, because as you know, our students don't read much script anymore, but that's another thing. So, what do we have next, Miss Stephanie?
Let's see. Oh, our content for the students. As I was mentioning, what, I'm sorry?
Nope, go.
Okay. As I had mentioned earlier, interviewing and getting to know these students was such a treat. We interviewed 15 students across, I think it was 3 or 4 different reservations. We went down to Duck Valley, over to Fort Hall, up to Lapway, and then we didn't quite make it all the way up to Coeur d'Alene, but we did meet close to that for this young lady here. And her name has just slipped my mind. I do apologize, but I can show it to you. Let's see. We have on our website, you can access all of the student videos. It's on our YouTube channel, but I have linked it to our website so that they're easy to access. And we were just looking at the educator tab that Val was explaining, and this is our student tab. So here we have all 15 students who we interviewed and created videos about. We have Sitka, who we will watch in just a minute, Paisley, who you saw earlier, Ayana, which is our young basketball player. We have Azeri, who you also saw earlier. And we have Abigail. She is our Lego champion. She was a lot of fun to talk to. We have Kenny, who is going off to play soccer. I think he's graduating from high school this year. I just took his senior photos, so they look pretty cool. And then we have Jayla, who is also a soccer player, and Hayden as well. JC is an artist, and Danny does Taekwondo. I learned a lot about why. He said that he was bullied as a kid in elementary school, and so then he took up Taekwondo, and now he teaches at a local Boise place. I just can't remember the name right now. It may be in the video. We have Quintana, who is she does a lot of nonprofit volunteering with her sister. I'll scroll really quickly down here, Mayalu. They both do a lot of volunteering here and also, I think it's Montana. Alizea is the young lady that we met up from the Coeur d'Alene tribe. We have Destiny. This is Phil's niece, and she is a poet. So she reads a poem that she wrote specifically for the video. And we have Dayton, who does, what is that called? That's relay, kind of relay races. It's where you run and then you have to do burpees. He talks about that, and he's gotten a lot of medals from that. He's quite a young star.
He's a Spartan racer competitor.
Thank you, Antoinette. Yes, Spartan Racer. Something that I think would be tons of fun, and then I probably won't do it myself. So yes, all 15 of these student videos can be found on our website. They're all between about 2 minutes to 3 minutes long, depending on how much the students wanted to talk. But they all have their individual stories, the things they want to do when they grow up, their favorite subjects, and what drives them. Like I had mentioned, Abigail, what drives her is Legos and putting together these robots with her teammates and going out to meet other people who also build Legos and robots. All right, so I do believe that we have another video to share. Yes, let me get Sitka up here.
My name is Sitka and I'm Shoshone Paiute. I live in Duck Valley. I started gardening when I was 2 years old. My grandma inspired me to garden because she loved to plant, and I guess I just like to plant too. Seemed fun and interesting. We plant from seed and they grow, and then we harvest them, and then we save the seeds for the next season, then plant them. The part I like about harvesting is that there's a lot of plants and our vegetables and fruits when we're done harvesting, so we don't have to go out and buy them. My greenhouse is pretty warm during the winter. I think this past year I was still growing in mid-December. Yeah, it was still hot in there. In the winter, it's like broccoli and cauliflower and cabbages. And then during like March and April, and then you switch to like potatoes and carrots and lettuces. And then summer is like watermelons and corn and squash. Other things I like to do besides gardening is raise calves that don't have moms, and riding horse, playing basketball, running, and hanging out with friends. Basketball, I started playing in kindergarten, I think. It was fun, and then I just kept on playing, and then last year we won the championship in Alco. I would like to be a gardener or an artist when I grow up. I like to paint and bead and make keychains. I want them to know that it's like difficult being Native, because people don't treat Natives like other people, and it's difficult because it's hard to go out to town or somewhere without someone saying something. Wish to be treated the same, but it's not like that.
I think that's one of the ones that I think Val had mentioned will make you cry, and that one does that for me a lot. Sitka had a lot of really, really good words to share, and we are so grateful for all of these students and letting us ask them these questions and opening up to us and telling us about their lives. So, what is next for Kessler Keener Foundation? Take it away, Antoinette.
Thank you, Steph. I want to thank Stephanie for all of her wonderful film work and editing that takes so many hours of her time. She's done a wonderful job of portraying the lifestyle and the cultural ways of these children and where they live. I'd also like to acknowledge Val for her very well-structured lessons. I'm blown away by what she has done with the information to create engaging instructional content that teachers can readily use in any teaching environment. And then our other amiga, Trina Finley Ponce, she went with Steph and helped conduct these interviews out in the field with the children who are a very large part, the foundation actually, of this instructional project. So what's next for the Kessler Keener Foundation as far as Native Voices goes? We will have an educational table at the Seven Arrows Powwow, which will be hosted by the Intertribal Native Council of Boise State at the Boise State Jordan Ballroom on April 30th and May 1st. We will have a red carpet event that we are planning currently to honor the students who were the actors in these vignettes, these film vignettes. It will be held at Boise State in the Simplot Ballroom, and it's by invitation only on July 9th. And then currently we are in the process of working out the instructional design of Native Voices 2, or Native Voices in Idaho Phase 2. It's being worked on right now, and we anticipate having a rollout again on Indigenous month in November of 2022. That's our target date for trying to get our work done in Phase 2, and it will focus on support of the Idaho curriculum for the intermediate grades from 6th on up to 8th grade. So I hope that you will share this information. If you know of any teachers out there who want to take a look at this instructional content, please direct them to our website at KesslerKeenerFoundation.org, or you can see the link here on this page, which will take you to all of our sites where we post our information.
Thank you.
No, actually, these earrings, my niece made these for me. I'll get closer. I taught her how to make these kind of earrings, and these were a gift from her. These were her first. It's Native culture to, when someone teaches you something, the first thing that you make, you gift them back to that person. And so these were from her. So does anyone have any additional questions?
I see one in the chat that Kathy asks, how do Native peoples feel about white people attending powwows?
Well, I'm going to give you my opinion and then I'll turn it to Val. Powwows are celebrations, and unless they're closed events, if they're not open to the public, then the community is invited. And I think it's really an opportunity for non-Native people to attend, to learn the culture and more ways of Indigenous people. You'll learn that there are a lot of different dances, a lot of different activities that take place at a powwow that help you learn about the culture. So the announcers typically are comedians, and they'll tell jokes and they'll invite people to come out and dance. And when they have a round dance, or sometimes they call them a social dance, that is an invitation for everyone, even non-natives, to come out and dance during that time. So just keep in mind, if it's a public powwow, it's been advertised, it's a social open event.
Thank you, Antoinette. I would agree with you 100%. I think going to a powwow is a really great place if you're not from a Native community to just really watch carefully, really practice your observation skills, and see what's going on there. And yeah, a lot of the arena directors these days and the MCs will fill you in on what's going on. But unless it's a closed ceremony, and most of them that you see advertised and you hear about will not be. Absolutely go. The vendors would love to have you. They'll sell you some earrings like Antoinette's if you're lucky. And yeah, it's a great opportunity. But I also would say kind of pay attention. There is etiquette to powwows. For instance, you don't where we dance in the arena, you just don't go marching across it. Small things like that, but it will be obvious to you from watching what other folks do. That's what I think.
You'll notice too that if it's, for example, if it's a Veterans Day powwow, you'll notice that you'll have the color guard come out first, then the veterans will come second, and then you'll notice the warriors or the traditional dancers come next, the male traditional dancers, and then the young men. And so you'll see this social order, if you will, of dancers. And in that case, the children are always the last little dancers that come out. So it's a great place to learn about, as Val said, the value structures, women, how women dress. They're very conservative. The young women carry themselves in a very honorable way. So take note of that.
Linda says your mission in this project is so important for all of us, kids and adults, to understand about these cultures. And Callie tells you, thank you, very interesting and informative. So we're really glad that everybody's been with us today. And Kathy also adds, thank you for this explanation and invitation. So we really appreciate everyone's warm participation here today, and really want to thank Antoinette, Steph, and Val for this wonderful presentation. And I have, just a moment, a few announcements about classes that are upcoming. Tomorrow, there will be a complimentary alternative healthcare choices course, learning about alternative treatments for common ailments, including acupuncture and herbal therapy. And that will be at 10 a.m. And then on Monday at 10, there'll be a Tai Chi, breathing, stretching, and more class, and a music circle and connection jam session at 2:30. And then on Tuesday at 10, there will be a concurrent classes, bicycle friendly driver class to prevent accidents and managing your garden without pesticides. But we so appreciate everyone here for participating today, and really extend a great thanks to Antoinette and Val and Steph for presenting to us so that we can learn more about Native peoples in our state. And we have a couple of more comments coming in that from Denise. Thank you for doing all this work. For sure, we adults need it as much as fourth graders. And Antoinette shares that there will be an event, Return of the Boise Valley People, on June 9th through 12th. And that's another great place, I believe, to learn more about the Native peoples here. We have a question from Eleanor about the Tai Chi classes being closed. I think theirs may be open. Please contact AARP and we'll help you with that. And
Gypsy,
are there any closing comments from anyone?
I do have one. Since we didn't get started on sharing my screen right out in the beginning, may I share one more time to share who our board is for Kessler Keener Foundation?
Please.
Awesome, thank you. And Antoinette will do the talking. Let me get this up here.
We are very fortunate to have a board of trusted individuals who continue to work on reaching our community through educational efforts to learn about a number of things. So I'd like to thank and recognize Ed Keener, Barbie Lynn Tom, Claire Manning Dick, Bob Armstrong, again, Trina Finley Ponce, Jamie, well, we just call her Jamie. She does so much of the work behind the scene for us to make all of the connections. And she always says, well, I'm just behind the scenes, but really she is so important to us to help us get things done. And again, Stephanie Cullen, who is here with us again today, and Valerie Miller. So thank you everyone for joining us. And we have another group of people that support us. We have a set of volunteers. They're called the Committee of Volunteers, the Kessler Keener Committee of Volunteers, and they are on phone calls on the weekends and help us do outreach. And we have our regular meetings, and there's I want to say a core group of about 15 people that do the work to help us do outreach for all of our events. Thank you for being here with us today. And Gypsy is one of our volunteers. Thank you for hosting us today.
You're very welcome. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us, and thank everyone for participating, and look forward to seeing you at more AARP NKA classes in the future.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
for having
you.
us.
Thank you.